Okay, I'm going to be assembling a FlukeEmulator hat that goes onto a Raspberry Pi. So I got the board. It's already got all the surface mount done. Luckily I bought it that way. And I have 3 2-pin headers. These are going to be for jumpers. Then I have a dual row 6-pin header. That's also for jumpers. And then I have these 2 headers here, which go behind, one here and one here. Then I have these 5 pins, which are from headers like this. And that's going to go in these holes here for this device. It actually helps if I show it, not the keyboard. Then you got the power connector, I believe that's the DC converter, DB25 connector, power connector, which is optional, but I put it in there because I run a fan with this. Then you need 7 jumpers. And this is the GPIO connector between this board and the Pi. And that'll be last. I am currently printing some standoffs to help with the installation of that. So I will include that later in the video. In the meantime, we're going to start with this device. We're going to put in these 5, solder these 5 pins in, then then put this in. Unfortunately, it does not come with legs, so you have to actually install your own legs. And it's going to be kind of cockeyed when it's installed. Not a big deal. Then on this power connector here, if you buy one like this and it has the little nub on it, we're gonna clip that off because that'll prevent it from sitting flush on the board. There's additional headers and stuff on here that you don't need unless you're gonna run it, unless you're not gonna use this to run the power, but I'm running it off of a brick, so I use that. Otherwise you could wire it directly in with 12 volts here, and I think you can wire it in via this way too, but I'm just going to use the brick because it's a lot more convenient. Okay, so let me go ahead and set the camera up here, and we will get started here. Okay. We can put the Pi aside for now because we are not going to need it until later. Okay, so grab that and that. And these are kind of a pain to deal with, but let me get my old man glasses here. Magnification. Just gonna put them a little bit through. Oop. They're gonna be sticking through. You can trim them once they're in too, but they don't need to stick in very far. I don't know if you can see it on that camera. Not much. You're going to be trimming the top side for sure. So and you can try to put them all in at one time, or you can do it one at a time. We're going to see how well this works by putting them all in at one time. Yep, see that one slid through. Yeah, see, yeah. You know what? I think I'm just gonna go with it like this. That's too high up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put one in. Suppose I could solder it from the top, but yeah. See, this is the hardest part of the whole part thing, is these right here, because they definitely want to slip out. Yeah. This is like Bad News Bears, right? We're gonna solder from the top. just a little bit comes through the bottom, that's fine. So, there we go. Solder didn't flow all the way to the other side, so we can always touch it up on the bottom. It's not a big deal. Like this one's been at an angle, which is not a big deal either, because that part will get trimmed off. And if it's too long on one side versus the other, I just kind of want to angle it to where it's going to be pointing inwards, because that's where we're going to bend them. Yeah, we'll put a little solder on the bottom to touch them up. Not a big deal. Alright, so then we look at the bottom here, like that one and that one, and that one will have good solder. It's just these two here. Need some more on the bottom. Flow. Okay. Alright, so the next step is to take this, and you can only put it one way, luckily. So you're gonna... So then what we need to do is make sure that these line up as well as possible in the little, there's tiny little notches. And then we're going to trim them down. I'd give it a little extra above. Not much, just a little. That one, see, that one has a little much on the top, but that's okay. That's better. Okay. Okay. So then what we need to do, I don't know if this is going to show up on camera or not, but we've got the little pads here that need to have solder, and then on the pin. I'm going to go ahead and do this back pin first. Doesn't take a whole lot. I'm sure there's variances in these boards a little bit too. Okay. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but it does work. Okay. And solder on the pad and solder to the pin. Come on to the pad. This is a bigger pad, so it might take a little extra heat to get it to flow onto the pad. Not pretty, but effective. Okay, and that's pretty much what it should look like when it's done. I put it on camera. Okay. Alright, so then we're going to do all the headers next. The twos are the biggest pains, so we're going to do those first. Use a little bit of blue tack to help hold those in. Just got to make sure that you clean the pins off afterwards, because a little bit of the blue tack will probably stick to it. Blue tack is kind of like a silly putty. Probably should have just done one pin first, that way if we need to make sure. We'll do that on the next ones. I think this one will be flush. It's a little bit of an angle, but not horrible. So we're going to heat this up a little bit and see if we can square it up. Nope, that just made it a little bit worse that way. This is why I should have just done one pin. That's better. We'll do one pin on the next ones. By doing one pin, then I can just, it's easier to manipulate. Okay, so then there's this one over here. Alright, it's not quite square. So only touching the one pin, you're not going to heat up because the other one's going to be hotter than hell. Come on, get off there. Not quite square. It's a little off still. You don't have to be this nitpicky. That's better. But you can be. And I'll solder the other pin. Touch the other one up. And we're good. Now the other one goes right here. Now technically, you could just bridge all these things across, but if they change something, then you'd have to unbridge and change. So the jumpers are the way to go. All right, take that off. A little bit of blue tack on there. I'm sure that one's not too horrible. A little tilted. Do we risk making it worse? Sure. Good enough for government work, right? Okay. Solder the other leg. So far, so good. And of course, I forgot to turn the other camera on, so we'll go ahead and turn that camera on. So halfway into this, we'll get the other angle. Oops. Keep forgetting about that. All right. And we get this header in. Play-Doh, silly putty, all that fun stuff. Again, one pin. Pull it off. We just need it on there long enough to... And everything looks flush and square. Now we'll do the other pins. Always like to do the opposite corners first. And we can double check, it's still flush. Okay, next header. This one over here. Yeah, see a little bit of blue tack left on that. Won't hurt anything, but better to get it off there. I have something for this. An old dental pick. That's the downside to using the blue tack. It's sticking the little crevices around the pins. Okay, that's good. We'll do opposite corner. On the bigger headers, you can put a little pressure on the board and that'll should square it up. Okay, we're square and flush almost. Let it cool. There we go. good on that one. Last header here. Pressure on that and do the opposite corner. Let that cool. Otherwise it'll slide back up. Perfect. Now I have double row headers, but I've also used single row in the past. Double row makes things a lot easier. It sounds like my 3D printer is done printing the standoffs, which we need, which is good. This is the part you fast forward through. This is the boring part, watching me add solder to pins. Okay. Everything looks good. It'll look like a little Hershey Kisses. We're good. Alright, so then the next thing is going to be this doohickey. On the board there is a outline, so you don't, and it should only fit one way. It's not going to fit this way. It'll only fit this way. And you don't need any blue tack on here because you should be able to just put it on the flat surface and should hold it down. And then just put a little bit of pressure on the board with your finger to make sure that it's flush and square. And then tack down a leg. Let it cool, then check it. Yep. Then you can do the other legs. A little bit of pressure to make sure it's all the way there. Okay. Next is the power connector. So the power connector has this little nub on it. Need to get some flush cutters. And boom, snip that right off. The flusher the better. Okay, for this one you want to make sure that this edge here is as square to that edge as possible. You don't want it sticking out over it, so Just anything below is fine, so I'm going to, what I do is I'm going to do one of these and then make sure it's aligned the way I want it to be aligned, and then do the other two legs. And this is a big pad, so it's going to require a little bit more solder. Might have to flow it around a little bit. There we go. That one's twisted a little bit, so we're going to heat it up first. And then straighten it out. It's a little off still. Not much. There we go, right there. Okay. And then we can do the other two legs. Don't want to have to do that too much because the solder will flow to the other side and could make a mess. Alright. Nope, didn't do too bad on that side. You can see the solder coming out of the top there a little bit, possibly. But it's not bad at all. Okay, so then what's next? Now we want to do the DB25 connector. This one has a little couple clips that'll clip into these holes. Just need to make sure you get all the pins lined up properly first, and do not force it too much. You run the risk of bending a pin. Should just kind of go in there nice and easy like that. And then grab it, those little clips will hold it in place, so you don't have to worry about putting pressure on the board to make it flush. And then we just go and solder a bunch of pins. 25 to be exact. Come on. A little more. You'll eventually know how much is too much and how much is too little. Better to put too little on it initially and then just add a little bit than it is to put a massive amount on there, because then you have to desolder that and add it back in. These are a little tricky because you got to go at an angle. The iron, not a big deal though. Come on. Sometimes it's a pain. There we go. Looks good to me. Okay, then we're gonna do this. Okay, so on this one, this is the side that you insert wires to. Hopefully that shows up on camera. And then there's that side which you do not insert wires. So there's two ways you can install this on the board. Now I want to install this with the slots where you put the wires in facing inward to the board, because I'm going to have wires coming out of it going to a fan. So I'm going to install it this direction. Okay, flat with the table. And a little bit of it is going to stick out. It's not a big deal. Okay. This requires a little more heat because these are bigger pads. A little bit more solder. And you can run your iron around the pin a little bit to make sure that it goes all the way around the pad. Oop. Of course, the solder gets soldered to the pin. And once you're done soldering all this up, you can then clean it up with isopropyl alcohol, get rid of all the extra flux or rosin, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So that's pretty much it for that. We can go ahead and put the jumpers on. The easy thing is all the jumpers go on all of them. They may be a little stubborn at times. Just don't do like I've done in the past, where I poke my finger with the onto the posts. It's always painful. Okay, we got one next to it. Good to go. And you'll have to read the manual if you need different jumpers, if you're using different power setups. I'm doing all the power through this connector. So I need all jumpers on here. Okay. All right. So that's it for jumpers. And now this. Let me grab the parts off of... I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, actually, because I need to get some additional parts. I'll be right back. Alright, so one piece left. And that is this piece. So we need the Raspberry Pi. We're going to put that onto the Pi. And then we're going to put the standoffs in here. Let's go ahead and spin this around so I can see it. Alright, now put the other standoff back here so that we're flush here. We're going to put the other standoff in here. Okay. So now we should be square-ish. Make sure that that standoff is in the right spot. take this. Come on. Plastic standoff might have... There goes the other standoff. Let's see, do we need to... Sometimes they don't fit like they should. There we go. Sometimes you gotta run the screw through them at least once or twice to get any excess leftover plastic off. Alright. So it's not actually going to screw into anything, it's just going to hold them in place. There we go. The important ones are the two back ones. Because all the weight is on this end, so it's going to tip this way. So, all right. Now that we have it squared up with that, now we're going to go ahead and just do a couple pins on either end. And then we can do the rest without all the other stuff. These are kind of a pain because they're close together. I'm going to take that jumper off so I don't melt it. In order to get those couple pins, those are the only ones that are really going to be a pain, are the ones that are sitting by that jumper. But now you can see that there's that's the appropriate height. And now we can take this off carefully. Could have left it on too to solder it. Okay. But I prefer to do it this way. A little easier to see. Put the pie over there. Okay. And here we go. Like I said, this is going to be kind of a pain. Make sure you don't bridge anything. Bridging's bad. Junk on that one for some reason. before I do the other row, I want to look at these, make sure they all look good, and they do. All right, let's take that jumper off. If I melt that, well, no big deal. The jumper was kind of a pain. Now, solder has a tendency to walk up the leg a little bit too. That being half blind doesn't help. Yeah, creeping up the legs a bit. Means I'm putting too much solder in there, not low enough. Need to go lower on the solder. Maybe come through on that side. That works. Now we get to the tricky ones, but we're going to skip those for do these. Let's check those. All right. So the two left. Another tricky one, because we're going to have to come in at a steep angle here. All right, and then we can touch them up at an angle. Oh, I didn't melt it. Yay. Plenty of solder on all of that. And we'll put our jumper back on. Okay. That is that, as they say. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and do the Pi and the LCD. So we can take the Pi and we'll go ahead and install this. But we'll want we'll want these in here first. Do that. Okay. Those fit right there. Little plastic tabs prevent anything from shorting out. If the edge here shorts to that, that's fine, because that should be ground as well. But, alright, so now I probably should have done that first, so let's do that first. I'll probably modify the 3D file to make the holes slightly bigger to keep this from happening. I'll increase the diameter of these holes a little bit so that we don't have these issues. Little bits of plastic can get stuck in there, and then so it doesn't make it as smooth as it should. So if I make it a little bit larger, then that problem becomes non-existent. We're just kind of smoothing it out a little bit. There we go. I'll make a change. Okay, back to that. Install this. Okay, then we'll make sure that lines up. There we go. Put the stand off in there. There we go. And the last one. Come on. Through the hole. There we go. Okay. So that's ready to go. Now we're going to do the LCD screen. Okay, so the pie is gonna, and they put little plastic things on top of here we need to peel off. Pie is gonna sit on these 4 pegs. Okay, so this one, let's see. Yeah. Take that off. Why they put that in there, I don't know. But there's a little ridge on that. I don't know if you can see that. That little ridge is the key. So that should go in like that. Okay. And this one is for the USB. And it should have little ridges on that one too. And that goes, so it should only go in one way. Okay, so now this is the ribbon cable. This little black part here. If you've never used these type of connectors before, it's got this little black thing here. Cover, it lifts up like that. Then the ribbon cable slides underneath, and then you close it again. So let's go ahead and do that. So that's this. Okay, and it's going to be this down. You can take this off. This would hold it here. I didn't do that because I need to be able to move it around a little bit. So it goes in like that and like that, and you're all set. You can put that on there if you want. I didn't do it. All right, so now you take this and turn it this way, and set that on there. Actually, I think I have the wrong screws. I think I want 2s. 2 millimeters. Not 2.5s. That was my mistake. I grabbed the wrong one. So let's take this off. 2.5 was for something else. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this. And then I'll go get the 2s and we'll come back. Okay, I'm back. They actually are M2.5s. They're just a little tight. Because I tried the M2s. The M2s were way too loose. They just kind of fell right in. And the M3s definitely are too... So you just have to... take your time. Don't force anything. Let go. Thank you. See, that one fits in better. Don't know why they did that. Goody, I think I just stripped that one. So we're going to take that one out. If you start stripping a screw, then get rid of it, because I got lucky on this one and was able to pull this one back out. So I'm gonna have to grab another. Come on. Well, we'll pull that one out with pliers. See that one? Yeah, those two fit in nicely. Let go of my screwdriver, please. Thank you. And we'll put that one in. Yeah, these going. That one over there, maybe there might have been something wrong with that screw. It might have been damaged or something. Yeah, see, it doesn't even want to come out of here. Come on. Yeah, well, let's get another one, because I don't like that one. And 2.5 by 25. I'm just going to toss that other one in the trash. That's better. A little squeaky. Okay, so now that's secure. Don't over tighten it. Finger tight. Okay, so then I put this one in the bottom USB right there because it's the easiest to get to. And now for the HDMI, you're gonna have to fold it over like that. And this is why I don't use the little plastic thing there, or the adhesive. Just because it's still, because you have to fold it over. It's not a straight run. Okay, there we go. Slides in like that. And then we'll fold it over like that. And you can fold it over like that a little bit. Just careful you're not putting too strong of a crease in it. Okay. Now these, it's going to go on these 3 pins here, and it's going to be red, red, black. Red. And it's rather important that you get these in the correct order. Red doesn't matter what order, but the black definitely does, because that is ground and these two are +5. +5, +5, and ground. Okay. Just checking my other one to make sure. I've already built one successfully, so. Okay. So that's it. There's a little protective thing on it. I don't take that off yet until I'm ready. Then I have a case that I've designed and I'm printing. That'll work for this. And it'll make it nice and pretty. I also have the power adapter, which I will need to go get and show. This is junk. And that's it. Completed. If you have any questions, post it in the comments. I'll add a little bit here in a minute to show the power brick, and then I'll provide a link for all the parts that I used. The jumpers, Amazon, I had to buy 600 of those things. But I'll be using quite a few of them. Alright, I'm going to stop the video for now and we'll come back here in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to recap. Since my hand was in the way a lot of the times for the video, I want to clarify a few things, such as the connection of these cables here. It goes on the back side. On the 3 left ones, it goes red, red, black. And that is connected in this connector here. And then we have the USB connector, which I plug into the bottom one here. And it's connected here. And you can see it's green, yellow, red. Or green, yellow, black, red. For that. And then the cable for the HDMI, I folded it over like this, which is kind of a pain in the butt at times, but it's good enough. This is the tab for the protective thing on the front. You can take that off if you want. There's what it looks like when it's soldered in for that. That's all the jumpers connected. And as you can see, these are the holes here for inserting the wires for the fan. 5 volts going to be on this end, ground's going to be on that end. Okay, so that's pretty much it. The next video I'll do is going to be putting this in the case that I designed. And that's it for this video.